Begin with an emotional and shocking statement that challenges the viewer's belief about eggs being the best muscle-building food. Engage the audience by asking rhetorical questions and using conversational storytelling. Gradually reveal that the food you're talking about is far superior to eggs in rebuilding muscle, especially for older adults fighting sarcopenia. Make it sound urgent, informative, and eye-opening while keeping the narration simple, engaging, and direct, just like you've been told for decades that eggs are nature's perfect food, right? I've said that myself in the past, and to be fair, eggs are a darn good food. They're packed with protein, vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats. But somewhere along the way, we started treating them like the holy grail of muscle building, as if eating a few eggs a day would magically rebuild muscle, reverse aging, and turn your metabolism back on. That belief didn't come out of thin air. It was built over years of clever marketing, old-school bodybuilding advice, and half-understood science that sounded good enough to stick. The truth is, eggs are good, but they're not the best. They're not even close to the most efficient food for rebuilding muscle once you understand how your body really works. Let's rewind a little. Back in the early fitness days, when bodybuilders were looking for cheap, high-quality protein, eggs were the easiest thing around. They were complete in amino acids, easy to cook, and affordable. People saw big guys eating eggs and thought, if it works for them, it must be the best. Nutrition labels showed eggs had all 9 essential amino acids, and scientists called the egg the perfect protein. That phrase alone, perfect protein, made people stop asking questions. But being complete in amino acids doesn't automatically mean it's the most effective for rebuilding muscle. You need more than a good amino acid lineup. You need the right balance, absorption rate, and enough leucine to actually trigger muscle protein synthesis. Here's what I mean by that. Muscle protein synthesis is the fancy term for what your body does when it repairs and builds muscle tissue. It's like your body's internal construction crew. When you eat protein, your body breaks it down into amino acids, and those amino acids become the building blocks for new muscle fibers. But here's the kicker. Not all proteins send the same build muscle signal. Leucine, one of the branched chain amino acids, is the main foreman on that construction site. Without enough leucine, that building crew doesn't even start the job. Eggs have leucine, sure, but not enough to really flip that muscle building switch efficiently, especially as you age. Now, this is where most people get tricked. They see the nutrition facts: 6 to 7 grams of protein per egg. High biological value, all essential amino acids. Sounds perfect, right? But what matters is how much of that protein your body can actually use to rebuild muscle. That's called bioavailability and digestibility. Eggs rank high, but they're still not the top performer. Once you hit your 40s, 50s, or 60s, your body becomes less responsive to those smaller doses of protein. You need more protein and better quality protein to get the same muscle building signal you used to get in your 20s. So, eating 2 or 3 eggs just isn't going to cut it anymore. Another thing people don't realize, the perfect protein label for eggs was based on studies from decades ago, done mostly on young, healthy men, not older adults dealing with muscle loss or metabolic slowdown. The way a 25-year-old body responds to eggs and the way a 65-year-old body does are very different. Your muscles become more resistant to protein stimulation as you age. It's like trying to wake up an old car engine. You need a stronger spark to get it running. That's where the right kind of protein makes all the difference. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying eggs are bad. They're nutrient-rich, packed with choline for your brain, lutein for your eyes, and healthy fats that keep your hormones in balance. But for rebuilding muscle, for fighting off sarcopenia, the gradual muscle loss that sneaks up on you as you get older, eggs just don't have enough horsepower. They're like a reliable little pickup truck, handy, dependable, but not a high-performance machine. You need something more powerful to rebuild serious muscle tissue and regain strength. The reason this myth has survived so long is because it's convenient. Eggs are easy to prepare, they're cheap, and they've been a dietary staple for generations. That makes them an easy good guy in nutrition talks. But if you're trying to rebuild muscle that's been wasting away, if you're fighting weakness or struggling to get stronger after 50, you need to know the truth. There's a food that works better, faster, and more efficiently than eggs. It's not hype, it's biology. Most people are surprised when I tell them that the difference between a good protein and a great one isn't about grams per serving. It's about how much actually goes toward building new muscle. You could eat 30 grams of protein from one food and barely stimulate growth, while another food with the same 30 grams might turn on muscle synthesis like flipping a switch. That's the part most people never hear about because we've been conditioned to count protein grams instead of understanding how our body uses them. This is why older adults keep losing muscle even though they're eating enough protein on paper. The body needs a more anabolic signal, more leucine, better absorption, faster digestion. Eggs give you a slow, moderate rise in amino acids. The better muscle-building foods give you a sharp, strong rise that actually triggers growth. Think of it like sending a weak text message versus shouting a clear command. Your body only reacts when the message is loud enough. Now, I'm not here to bash eggs. I still eat them, and you should too. But they shouldn't be the foundation of your muscle rebuilding plan. They're a supporting player, not the star. The real star food, the one that rebuilds muscle 10 times faster, has the right amino acid balance, higher leucine density, and faster absorption. It tells your muscles to wake up, repair, and grow again, even if you've spent years losing strength. We've spent decades believing eggs were the end, all of protein, but it's time to upgrade that thinking. Science has advanced, and we now understand more about what your muscles truly respond to. If you're over 40, and especially if you're over 60, it's time to stop settling for good enough and start feeding your body what it actually needs to rebuild itself from the inside out. Because you can get stronger, you can reverse muscle loss, and it starts with eating smarter, not just sticking to old myths about what's perfect. Most people think muscle loss only happens when you get old, like it's something that suddenly starts at 70 or 80, but that's not how it works. Sarcopenia, that slow, sneaky loss of muscle, actually begins much earlier than most realize. In your 30s, your body starts changing in subtle ways. You don't notice it at first. Maybe you don't bounce back from workouts like you used to. You feel a little weaker carrying groceries or climbing stairs. Then, by the time you hit your 50s, it feels like someone turned the dial down on your strength. That's not just aging, that's your muscle fibers shrinking, your protein synthesis slowing, and your recovery lagging behind. But here's the good news, it's not permanent and it's not irreversible. You can rebuild what you've lost if you understand what's really going on inside your body. Think of your muscles like the engine of your body. When you're younger, that engine runs smooth, efficient, and powerful. Every meal you eat, every bit of protein you take in, your body quickly uses it to repair and build muscle tissue. But as time goes on, the engine doesn't respond the same way. The spark plugs don't fire quite as easily. It's not that your body forgets how to build muscle. It's that it stops listening to the signals. That's because as we age, our cells become more resistant to the messages that tell them to grow and repair. This is called anabolic resistance. It just means your muscles don't respond to protein as efficiently as they used to. You have to send a stronger signal to get the same response. Now, a lot of people make this worse without even realizing it. They start eating less protein because they think, I'm getting older, I don't need as much. Or worse, they replace real protein foods with processed carbs and sugary snacks. That's like trying to run your car on soda instead of gasoline. The muscles get weaker because they're starving for the right fuel. Your body is constantly breaking down and rebuilding muscle, even when you're sleeping. If you're not feeding it enough quality protein, it has no choice but to pull amino acids from your existing muscle tissue just to keep basic functions running. That's why so many people get softer, slower, and weaker with age. Not because they're old, but because their muscles are literally being recycled for energy. Add to that the modern problem of insulin resistance. This one's huge. When your insulin levels are too high for too long, thanks to processed carbs, frequent snacking, and sugar-loaded meals, your body's ability to build muscle takes a big hit. High insulin blocks growth hormone, interferes with repair, and pushes your body to store fat instead of maintaining lean muscle. It's like putting sludge in your gas tank. The engine still runs, but it's sluggish, inefficient, and breaks down faster. This is one of the reasons so many middle-aged people say, I'm eating the same way I used to, but I keep losing strength and gaining fat. Their metabolism and hormones are out of sync, and their muscle tissue is paying the price. Another piece of the puzzle is movement, or rather, the lack of it. Most of us sit far too much. The human body was designed for constant motion. Walking, lifting, climbing, carrying. When you sit for long hours every day, your muscles start to atrophy, which means they shrink from lack of use. Think of your muscles like armor. If you don't use it, it rusts, weakens, and falls apart. But here's the encouraging part. As soon as you start using them again and feed them properly, they begin to rebuild. The body is incredibly adaptive. Even if you've lost a lot of muscle, even if you haven't exercised in years, your body is just waiting for the right signal to turn that rebuilding process back on. Let's talk about protein for a second, because that's where most people go wrong. Protein isn't just about building biceps, it's about survival. Every enzyme, every hormone, every repair process in your body depends on amino acids, which come from protein. When you're young, your body uses dietary protein efficiently, so you can get by with less. As you age, you need more, not less. You need enough high-quality protein to push past that anabolic resistance. That's how you flip the muscle building switch back on. If you don't, your body will keep breaking down muscle faster than it rebuilds it. That's how sarcopenia creeps in, slowly, quietly over years. When you lose muscle, you lose more than strength. You lose your metabolic engine. Muscles are what burn calories even when you're sitting still. They regulate blood sugar, protect your joints, and keep your bones strong by maintaining pressure and stress on them. That's why older adults with low muscle mass are at higher risk for fractures, falls, and fatigue. But again, none of this is destiny. It's a signal problem, and you can fix the signal with food and movement. One of the biggest myths I hear is, it's normal to lose muscle as you age. Normal doesn't mean natural. Just because most people experience it doesn't mean it's supposed to happen. It's common because most people eat poorly, move too little, and believe outdated advice about protein and fat. You don't have to accept weakness, frailty, or that slow loss of power is just getting older. You can absolutely build strength even in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. I've seen people do it again and again once they start giving their body what it actually needs, real food, enough protein, and resistance training. Your muscles are like a retirement account. What you invest early pays off later. If you neglect it, it dwindles away until there's nothing left to draw from. But the incredible thing is, even if you've made poor deposits for years, you can still start building it back up today. It doesn't matter if you're 35 or 75, your body can still respond if you feed it correctly. It just needs that spark, that right kind of fuel to kickstart the rebuilding process. So when you start noticing that your arms look smaller, your legs feel weaker, or your grip isn't what it used to be, don't chalk it up to aging. That's not time stealing your muscle. That's your body sending a message. It's saying, hey, I need the right nutrients. I need the right food. Because once you start giving it what it needs, real nutrient, dense protein, healthy fats, and fewer carbs, your body will surprise you. It can heal, rebuild, and restore strength faster than you think. The human body is built to survive, adapt, and thrive no matter your age, as long as you give it the tools to do so. When people hear that there's a food that rebuilds muscle 10 times faster than eggs, they almost always look at me like I've lost my mind. But once you understand the science of how your body uses protein, it makes perfect sense. The real superfood I'm talking about is red meat, specifically high-quality beef. And before you roll your eyes or think I'm talking about greasy burgers, hear me out. Real, unprocessed, grass-fed beef is one of the most nutrient-dense, muscle-rebuilding foods on the planet. It's the true gold standard of protein, not eggs. And I'll show you exactly why. Let's start with the basics. Your muscles don't care about what looks pretty on a nutrition label. They care about amino acids, the building blocks of protein. Eggs contain all 9 essential amino acids, which is good, but beef contains them in higher amounts and in a more optimal ratio for muscle growth, especially leucine, the king of muscle-building amino acids. Remember, leucine is like the spark that flips on your body's muscle repair switch. If you don't get enough leucine, your muscles never get the signal to grow, no matter how much total protein you eat. A single serving of high-quality beef has nearly double the leucine content of the same serving of eggs. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between maintaining muscle and actually rebuilding it. Now, let's talk about digestion and absorption. Eggs digest relatively slowly, which isn't always a bad thing, but if your goal is to repair muscle tissue after exercise or fight off age-related muscle loss, you need a faster, stronger amino acid response. Beef protein hits your bloodstream quicker and more completely. It raises your blood amino acid levels high enough to trigger that muscle synthesis signal, the one your body ignores when you eat lighter proteins like eggs or plants. Think of it this way. Eggs knock politely on the door, but beef kicks it open and says, time to rebuild. And it's not just the amino acids. Beef brings a whole package of nutrients your muscles absolutely depend on: creatine, carnitine, zinc, heme iron, and B12. Those aren't just nice add-ons. They're essential for energy production, oxygen delivery, and repair. Creatine alone gives your muscles immediate access to ATP, which is what powers every contraction, every lift, every movement. You simply don't get that same support from eggs. If your muscles are like an engine, beef isn't just fuel. It's fuel, oil, and spark plugs all in one. Here's another key difference. Eggs are mostly protein and fat, but beef provides something even more important: nutrient density that supports your entire metabolic system. When you eat beef, you're feeding your muscles, bones, brain, and hormones all at once. Every bite is packed with bioavailable iron that keeps oxygen flowing through your muscles, zinc that supports testosterone production, and B vitamins that keep your metabolism humming. Eggs have some of that, sure, but not nearly in the same concentrations. You'd have to eat a dozen eggs to get what a few ounces of beef can give you in terms of total muscle supporting nutrition. People often ask me, but Dr. Barry, what about cholesterol or heart health? That's one of the biggest nutrition myths ever sold. There's absolutely no solid evidence that unprocessed red meat causes heart disease. What does damage your heart and muscles is processed junk, sugar, seed oils, refined carbs. Real meat has been part of the human diet since the beginning of time. Our ancestors didn't survive and thrive on oatmeal and toast. They built muscle, bone, and brain power on meat. And modern science keeps confirming that when you replace processed food with real animal protein, your strength, energy, and overall health improve dramatically. Now, let's make this practical. You don't need to eat a pound of steak at every meal. The goal is consistency and quality. A simple 6-ounce serving of beef can give you 40 grams of complete, highly bioavailable protein, more than enough to trigger muscle growth and repair after a workout or as part of your main meal. You can get that from ground beef, steak, or even lean roasts. Grass-fed beef is ideal because it's higher in omega-3s and antioxidants, but even conventional beef is far better than the processed foods most people are eating daily. You can use beef in dozens of ways. Start your day with steak and eggs instead of cereal. The eggs give you healthy fats and choline, while the beef gives you the muscle-building punch. For lunch, toss some leftover ground beef into a salad or mix it with vegetables for a high-protein meal that keeps your blood sugar stable. For dinner, a simple portion of sirloin, ribeye, or even beef liver will do more for your muscle health than any protein shake or supplement. Beef liver, by the way, is a secret weapon. It's loaded with nutrients like vitamin A, iron, and folate that your body uses to repair tissue at the cellular level. Here's something fascinating. When researchers measure muscle protein synthesis after eating different foods, beef consistently outperforms almost everything else. It doesn't just stimulate muscle repair better than eggs, it does it more efficiently. Your body uses more of the amino acids from beef directly for muscle growth. That's why people who add beef back into their diet after years of avoiding it often notice strength returning, better recovery, and even faster metabolism. It's not placebo, it's biology. And I want you to understand this clearly. This isn't about eat more meat, be macho. This is about giving your body what it's designed to thrive on. As we age, the ability to rebuild muscle depends heavily on nutrient density and protein quality. You can't out-supplement or out-exercise a poor diet. If you're eating low-protein, low-nutrient meals, your body simply doesn't have the tools it needs to rebuild the foundation, your muscle. Beef gives your body those tools in the exact form it can use immediately. When people finally make this shift from believing eggs are the top dog to realizing beef is the real muscle food, everything starts changing. Energy comes back, posture improves, strength returns, metabolism speeds up, they feel alive again, not drained and sluggish. That's not magic. That's what happens when your body finally gets the protein and nutrients it's been waiting for all along. So, the next time someone tells you to load up on eggs for muscle, smile and nod, then go fire up the grill. Because the truth is, nothing rebuilds muscle faster, more efficiently, or more completely than real, nutrient-dense beef. It's what your body's been asking for. You just have to listen. Here's the thing, your muscles are not built in the gym. They're built in your kitchen. The workouts are just the spark, but what really determines whether you rebuild or waste away afterward is the food you put on your plate. You've been told that eggs are the perfect food for that recovery and growth, but science says otherwise. If you really want to rebuild muscle, not just maintain it, you need the right fuel, and that fuel is high-quality beef. And I don't mean fancy protein powders or mystery shakes. I'm talking about real food, the kind your great-grandparents ate. Beef rebuilds muscle up to 10 times faster than eggs because of one simple reason. It gives your body everything it needs in the exact form it can use, without compromise. Let's make this simple. When you eat protein, your body breaks it down into amino acids, which are the building blocks for new muscle. The most important of these is leucine. Think of leucine as the light switch that tells your body, hey, it's time to repair and grow. If you don't get enough leucine, that switch never flips on. Eggs have leucine, sure, but beef has a lot more. And more importantly, it's in a form that your body uses more efficiently. The leucine in beef hits your bloodstream faster and in higher concentrations. That means your body doesn't just get the message to rebuild muscle. It gets it loud and clear. Right now, most people don't realize that you need about 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine at one time to really trigger muscle protein synthesis, the process of building muscle. You'd have to eat 6 or 7 eggs to hit that threshold, but you can hit it with just 1 serving of beef. That's not me exaggerating, that's basic biology. So if you're older, or you've been struggling to gain strength or energy, that difference is massive. Your body's ability to build muscle naturally slows with age, which means you need a stronger, more direct signal. Eggs whisper, beef shouts. And it's not just about leucine. Beef also delivers creatine, one of the most powerful natural muscle-boosting compounds ever discovered. You don't have to buy it in a powder. It's already in the meat. Creatine helps your muscles store more energy in the form of ATP, which means you have more power for every lift, step, and movement. That's why people who eat more red meat tend to have better energy and endurance. Their muscles are literally better fueled. Eggs don't provide creatine. That's one of the reasons people who rely on eggs or plant-based proteins often feel fatigued, recover slower, and hit plateaus. Now let's talk about absorption. You can eat all the protein you want, but if your body can't absorb and use it efficiently, it doesn't matter. Beef protein is highly bioavailable, which means your body actually digests and uses most of it. It raises your amino acid levels in the blood higher and faster than eggs. That's the difference between giving your muscles a slow trickle of nutrients or hitting them with a strong wave that triggers growth. Think of it like watering a plant. A light mist won't cut it. You need a good soak to see real growth. Beef provides that deep soak. Then there's nutrient density, something most people forget about when they talk about protein. Beef isn't just protein. It's packed with nutrients that make muscle repair and energy production possible. Iron delivers oxygen to your muscles so they can work harder and recover faster. Zinc supports testosterone, which helps with strength and endurance. B vitamins, especially B12, keep your metabolism running smoothly and prevent fatigue. Carnitine and carnosine improve cellular energy and protect your muscles from inflammation and breakdown. Eggs have some of these, but beef has far more, and they're in forms your body can use immediately. You can't rebuild muscle efficiently without those nutrients, no matter how much protein you eat. You've probably noticed something when you eat a beef-based meal compared to eggs or other lighter proteins. You feel satisfied longer, more energized, and mentally sharper. That's not your imagination. It's because your blood sugar stays stable, your energy doesn't crash, and your muscles are being refueled instead of broken down. People who start eating more beef-based meals often tell me they suddenly have more stamina in the gym, their recovery time shortens, and they don't wake up sore for days. That's the power of feeding your muscles what they're actually made of: complete, bioavailable animal protein and nutrients. Here's another truth you probably haven't heard. Beef helps fix the underlying problem that makes building muscle so difficult as we age: insulin resistance. When you eat too many carbs and not enough quality protein, your insulin levels stay elevated, which prevents your body from burning fat and rebuilding muscle efficiently. Beef is naturally low in carbs and stabilizes insulin, creating the perfect environment for muscle growth. That's why people who switch to a higher protein, lower carb way of eating suddenly start seeing results they couldn't get before. Their hormones rebalance, inflammation drops, and muscle tissue finally starts responding again. And let's not forget collagen and connective tissue. Beef, especially cuts with a little bit of connective tissue or slow cooked roasts, provide the raw materials your joints and tendons need to stay strong. Eggs don't offer that same level of joint support. When your connective tissue is stronger, you can train harder, move better, and recover faster. It's a whole body upgrade, not just muscle deep. I've seen countless people in my community transform their strength and vitality just by making this one change: swapping eggs or protein shakes for real beef. Older adults who thought their muscle loss was permanent started regaining strength and mobility. Folks who were constantly tired found their energy returning within weeks. Their metabolism sped up, their body composition improved, and they started feeling decades younger. That's not some marketing claim. It's what happens when you work with biology instead of against it. The idea that red meat is bad for you is one of the biggest nutritional lies ever told. Real unprocessed beef isn't your enemy. It's your body's best ally for rebuilding and maintaining strength. You don't need complicated supplements or expensive meal plans. You need real, nutrient-rich food that your body recognizes and knows how to use. Beef does that better than anything else. So the next time you cook dinner and you're trying to decide between an omelette or a steak, think about what your body actually needs. One will keep you treading water. The other will rebuild you from the inside out. You'll feel stronger, recover faster, and have energy that lasts. Because when you fuel your body with what it was designed for, it rewards you with vitality that no supplement or superfood hype can match. The science is simple, and the results are real. Beef builds muscle faster because it works in harmony with how your body was designed to grow. Here's the truth most people don't realize. When you start eating real food like high-quality beef, the benefits go way beyond muscle growth. You're not just building biceps or tuning up. You're rebuilding the entire system that keeps you alive and thriving. Your metabolism, your hormones, your insulin response. Everything starts working the way it was designed to. That's the power of eating the food your body recognizes as fuel. And let me tell you, when you make that shift, it feels like waking up a part of yourself you didn't even know had gone dormant. You've probably noticed that as people get older, they don't just lose muscle, they lose spark. They move slower, think slower, recover slower. They start believing that's just getting old. But that's not aging, that's undernourishment. It's the long-term effect of giving your body low-quality fuel. Every system in your body depends on amino acids, healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals. Beef doesn't just deliver those, it delivers them in the exact form your body can absorb and use instantly. When you start eating real, nutrient-dense food, the lights start coming back on. You get stronger, leaner, and your metabolism wakes up like a fire finally getting oxygen. Let me make this simple. When you eat enough high-quality protein, your metabolism speeds up. Why? Because it takes more energy to digest and use protein than any other nutrient. It's called the thermic effect of food. In plain English, that means your body burns more calories just by processing it. Beef protein, in particular, requires a lot of metabolic work, which keeps your engine running hot long after you eat. Eggs do some of that too, but not nearly to the same degree. That's one reason people who add beef to their diet often find themselves leaning out without even trying. They're feeding their body real fuel, and their metabolism starts humming again. And let's talk about hormones, because that's a big one. So many people, especially those over 40, are walking around with imbalanced hormones and don't even know it. Testosterone, estrogen, growth hormone, they all depend on the nutrients you eat. Zinc, iron, B vitamins, and healthy saturated fats are crucial for proper hormone production, and guess what food is loaded with them? Beef. When your hormones are balanced, you've got better energy, clearer thinking, deeper sleep, and more consistent mood. It's not magic. It's biology responding to proper nourishment. I've seen older men regain strength and vitality after years of feeling weak and foggy just by eating more animal protein. Women in their 50s and 60s tell me their energy comes back. Their hair and skin improve, and that constant fatigue they thought was just menopause starts fading, because when your body finally gets enough real protein and fat, it can start repairing and balancing hormones again. You can't do that on salads and cereal. You need nutrient-dense fuel. Now, let's tackle insulin sensitivity, the key to unlocking long-term health and longevity. You've been told for decades to eat lots of heart, healthy grains, and avoid red meat. But the truth is, those grains spike your insulin and make your cells resistant to it over time. That's what leads to weight gain, fatigue, and eventually type 2 diabetes. Beef, on the other hand, keeps your insulin low and stable. It's almost zero carbs packed with fat and protein that don't raise your blood sugar. When you eat this way consistently, your cells start listening to insulin again. Your blood sugar normalizes, your cravings drop, and your energy levels stay steady all day. That's how real metabolic healing happens. I've seen this firsthand. A man in his 60s who could barely walk upstairs without losing breath switched from cereal and toast in the morning to steak and eggs. Within a month, he wasn't just stronger. His fasting blood sugar dropped, his waistline shrank, and he said he felt 10 years younger. A woman in her 70s who'd been told to eat light meals, yogurt, fruit, and a little toast started adding beef to her lunches and dinners. 3 months later, she'd gained muscle, lost body fat, and no longer needed her afternoon naps. These aren't miracles. This is your body finally working the way it's supposed to. You've been told to fear red meat because of outdated studies that lumped it in with processed junk and seed oils. But real, unprocessed beef isn't the enemy. It's the cure for what's been missing in your diet all along. Your body is made of the same amino acids and fats found in animal foods. When you give it those exact nutrients, it knows exactly what to do with them. Your muscles repair faster, your metabolism revs up, your hormones stabilize, and your brain gets sharper. It's not just about muscles. It's about turning back the biological clock. Now, think about this for a second. What if getting older didn't have to mean getting weaker? What if you could actually get stronger, leaner, and more energized with age? You can. Your body isn't broken, it's just underfed. When you start feeding it real ancestral food like beef, you're giving it the tools to rebuild. I've seen 80-year-olds start lifting again, walking easier, and sleeping better just from this one dietary change. You don't need expensive supplements, complicated routines, or fancy powders. You just need real food, eaten consistently. And let's be honest, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can spend hours in the gym, but if your diet is built on low-protein, low-fat, high-carb meals, you're spinning your wheels. Muscle isn't built in the gym. It's built by giving your body the materials it needs afterward. That's where beef comes in. It rebuilds you from the inside out. Every cell, every hormone, every ounce of strength depends on the nutrients in that real, whole food. The beauty of this is how simple it really is. You don't need a meal plan or a nutrition degree to do this. Just start by replacing one processed meal a day with a real one. A burger patty, a steak, a serving of roast beef, whatever you enjoy. Pair it with some eggs, butter, or low-carb vegetables if you like. Watch what happens over the next few weeks. Your energy goes up. Your cravings go down. Your mood stabilizes. You sleep better. That's your body healing itself from the inside. You deserve to feel strong again. You deserve energy that lasts, a body that works for you, not against you, and a metabolism that's alive again. Don't let anyone tell you that decline is just part of getting older. It's not. It's a choice, and you can choose to rebuild. Real food, real strength, real results. That's the truth, and it starts the moment you stop fearing the foods that were always meant to make you thrive. Here's what I want you to understand before you walk away from this. Eggs aren't bad. They're good, they're nutrient-rich, and they've earned their place at the breakfast table. But they're not the ultimate muscle food you've been led to believe. The truth is, there's something even more powerful, more complete, and far better suited to rebuild your body from the inside out. That food is real, unprocessed, nutrient-dense animal protein. Beef, lamb, bison, venison, the foods our ancestors thrived on for thousands of years. These foods aren't new discoveries. They're the forgotten foundation of human strength. You see, the reason so many people struggle with weakness, fatigue, and muscle loss as they age isn't because their bodies are broken. It's because they're starving for real nutrition. They're told to eat less meat, more grains, more plant-based protein, and somehow expect their bodies to stay strong. That doesn't work. You can't build muscle with incomplete amino acids. You can't rebuild cells with missing nutrients. You can't run a powerful engine on watered-down fuel. And that's what most people are doing, feeding their bodies poor quality food and wondering why they feel tired, weak, and inflamed. Let me make this simple. When you give your body what it actually needs, real protein, real fat, real minerals, it knows exactly what to do. Your muscle cells respond instantly. Protein synthesis ramps up, recovery speeds up, your hormones stabilize, your metabolism wakes up, you start burning fat and building muscle again, even if you haven't lifted a weight in years. This isn't a theory, it's biology. It's how your body was designed to function before modern food companies and outdated diet advice confused everyone into eating junk. You've been told to fear the very foods that built humanity: red meat, animal fat, cholesterol, rich foods. But the truth is, those foods never caused the health crisis we're in today. Processed sugar, seed oils, refined carbs. That's what broke us. That's what's behind